What up, Jippers? Plays back, and today we've got a very special episode because I'm joined by RaYRoD TV, creator of the No Man's Sky Overhaul Mod, and we're going to be asking him a whole load of questions about that today. But before we do, hi Ray, how's it going? Welcome to the show, and thank you for joining me.
Hey man, thanks for having me here. I'm doing well on my end. How about you?
Yeah, really good at the moment. I think it's just a great time to be a fan of No Man's Sky with everything that's going on. Playing the Overhaul Mod is keeping me entertained until next comes along, so pretty excited to talk about that. I guess we should start off today, for those that don't know, just a kind of overview. I don't know how easy this question is to answer, but I wanted to kind of get your sort of view on what the Overhaul Mod is and what you're trying to do with it.
Okay, so before I explain or try to explain what the Overhaul Mod is, because it's a rabbit hole, I think I'd like to elaborate a bit on my perspective on this project. So first of all, I'm an avid fan of Hello Games' No Man's Sky, who also loves to rework No Man's Sky. Like many others, I've looked forward towards the game since its reveal in 2013, and I have remained playing it to this day. I play on the PS4 and on the PC. I'm also an avid fan of the vanilla base game gameplay without mods. I love No Man's Sky, and I fully support Hello Games, and they really do have true dedication to their community. This is a fan project merely done out of passion and inspiration for what Hello Games has already done. However, I do add my own twist as a gameplay design artist. And I look forward to seeing No Man's Sky continue to become the game which we've always desired it to be, hopefully grounded on the E3 trailers and the original vision that caught the hearts and attention of many people with modernized improvements. There is so much content within No Man's Sky that already exists and isn't utilized within the files that could be fully fleshed out with given time and dedication, despite some things that we could really benefit from Hello Games for that would transform this game, and I really look forward to seeing what's next. My personal ambition is to take what Hello Games has already made and improve it, and to also add my own touch as a gameplay design artist, to take what is not used, to fully flesh it out, and to push No Man's Sky to its limits in its current state, to fill in every gap that I can find that can be filled in its current state, to improve what's already here and what has already been improved by Hello Games to a higher standard, including unfinished and other likely not seen or found assets that I've been finishing, to study them, plan what I will do with them, and then to incorporate them into the game creatively, and then make detailed adjustments to those mechanics in order to complement the base game while also adding my own touch. I have incorporated some things into the game that's not from the base game as well here and there. However, I primarily want to see what's already existing for us in the files, which is much more than most would expect fully ironed out. It's not just the big things that matter, but the small things that matter. Every detail matters. This is personally why it takes so long with the things that I work on, as it's possible to add things that are really flashy and in your face, and that's it. But what No Man's Sky would also very much benefit from seeing is what we already have access to but don't really have utilized, that would make a dramatic difference, whether they be very little mechanics or very large mechanics, ironed out and implemented in a pleasing way. After the core game is enhanced, polished, then comes the extra toppings. The Overhaul Mod, what it is my intention is to emulate an unmodded experience with mods. Changes that are very subtle, and in many cases not subtle at all, but complement the base game in such a way that it feels like it belongs and feels official, like an addition to the game, my own kind of custom build, with some exceptions to never oversaturate things. What I am doing is I am working on a modernized E3 build of that kind of style that attains to a particular kind of user base that is interested in that kind of nostalgic pre-release E3 2013 through E3 2015 style.
I think it's really cool for me because obviously whenever I play, people have seen me on the channel, and I'm sure you've seen like a few of them, I just get super hyped like every time I play it. I'm so freaking excited. But like the one thing obviously I can't do well is like trying to explain to someone just how cool it is, and I'm probably bad because like whenever I talk about it, I just basically say it's like, for me it's like the E3 dream of No Man's Sky is basically kind of like what the mod is, but then like with other cool twists and stuff that you've added. So it's really cool to like hear you like properly lay down the lore and sort of talk about exactly what that vision is and what the kind of dream is for it. So it's yeah, it's pretty cool to like hear you actually get all that out and say it to someone.
Oh, okay, fair enough. So anyway, in short, the Overhaul mod is a work in progress modernized E3 2013 through 2015 build with also mechanics from seen in IGN footage and a cross between every release version of the game, the 2016 build all the way through Atlas Rises. It also has the RC1 PS4 Vanilla 1.0 content ported over from the PS4 build into the PC version, and everything is updated with the modernized improvements in Atlas Rises, and I'm also looking forward to updating it for next. And there are thousands of pre-release mechanics that I've restored that are in the mod. And my way of doing things is that I don't like to oversaturate things, but I want to fill in the gap that tends to be in the back of some people's minds that I wish this was in the game. I've seen it once before, maybe in old footages, maybe in old trailers. I want to fill in that gap, that some people may be looking for things that are just not in the game, but at least they can know that these kind of things are out there somewhere, but they're not oversaturated, which gives an exploration incentive, but it's being implemented in creative ways on a universal scale with a lot of variation so that, not everything is going to be like always in your face, but you may come across one planet, that looks a certain way and gives you a certain kind of vibe, but the next planet, it might give you another kind of vibe. Like, I'm trying to create a unique experience on, every single planet with procedural generation, and I believe that I've accomplished that. This next update, the Immersion update, is about a year in the making. It's been a lot of work. I often work from 24, 48, 72-hour durations. There was this one time that I worked on this project for a week without sleep, but I stopped doing that because
that's
it's not
crazy,
healthy.
man. Yeah, definitely need to get the rest in there as well. we want you to survive long enough to finish it.
Yeah, making this project has almost physically killed me, but I learned from that.
At least you learned before it was too late. So we've kind of touched, like, I know there's so much more to it than that, and it's kind of hard to put into words, but we've kind of touched on like a brief overview of like where you're coming from with this, what you want to try and achieve. A lot of people get confused. They don't realize that you're someone who is a fan of the game and you're just creating a different way to play, and that's kind of like the way I always, whenever someone mentions something like that to me, I'm kind of like, we've still got the base game, we still love the base game, you love the base game too, but it's like, this is just another way to play with some of that cool stuff in there for like it's the same sort of feel but just a different experience. And for me, it makes a lot of sense to have, like, if there's something you love this much, right, having two versions of it is just like extra cool. Like, it doesn't hurt one or the other. You've got both, so that's like, yeah, that's definitely kind of my view on it. I guess like one of the question everyone is going to want to know at the moment, loads of people are always asking me, just in terms of like the release for the overhaul. I don't know if you're going to be able to give a specific date or window, but like, are you able to tell us anything about when you're planning to bring the overhaul immersion update out for people?
So I have a long explanation and a short explanation.
Let's go for the long one. Why not?
Okay. So first I want to answer why it's taking so long. The tedious, complicated aspect of working with procedural generation is that one slight change can affect anything anywhere in the universe. Every day, I am making hundreds of thousands of changes at a minimum carefully, but sometimes issues can occur. So it's crucial that when I make improvements, expand variety, add content, rework existing content, implement new features and other things that I creatively implement on a universal scale in unique, non-oversaturated, believable ways, that I search the planets within the in-game universe for potential issues, rare crashes, etc., or potential things that I need to adjust, or these spots that I may have missed and need to touch up like an artist painting, so that I may fix them to ensure consistency for the end user. It can also be a lot to handle with a project of such large scale across 13,000 biomes alone, but I've created a different method of narrowing things down. I work off of a pre-written to-do list compiled based off of data mine research from observing pre-release or general research by studying the files. But sometimes I get ideas, theories on the fly. Sometimes I dream of certain things and I try to manifest it into the game. A lot of things, changes, adjustments are done based off of community feedback. A lot of things are also replications based off of the trailers, but the more that I progress, the more that I see potential and start to form ideas of more awesome things that I can do and implement for everyone to provide the best experience that I can offer with this next overhaul update prior to the next overhaul update after this. So everything is in a constant flux, in a constant progression, and usually one issue might lead to another or one idea might lead to another. But I must get the perfect mix, which I'm pretty darn close to. Currently, I'm working to expand in-game variety about 20 times more than it is already expanded, like 1,000 times more than the old version 10 in a high-effort way, and working on multi-biome aspects and making the game more beautiful in general and adjusting certain things still to make way for beaches. I haven't taken a break except to sleep for the past 5 months on this update. The way that I see it, I won't do anything else until I get this out publicly. I am a perfectionist. Also, props to Hello Games for creating such an awesome engine. When I first started working on this next update a year ago, I had started somewhat of a normal sleep schedule, but then I just started going full-fledged into it to get this release as soon as I can. I'm actually looking forward to releasing the first public test build of the overhaul update within a few days.
Oh wow, a few days. Okay, that's crazy. So I knew you'd kind of said you're hoping to get out before next, but like within a few days. Oh, that's pretty exciting. Like, because every time I post a video or something, everyone's like, we need to get hold of this, we want to play it. So I think that's going to be something people are pretty excited about for sure. I'm psyched. So I didn't know that. So just for anyone listening, like before we started the interview, I didn't know what you were going to say in terms of when it was coming out. I just knew you were hoping to get out before next. So the fact that it could be coming out in like the next couple of days, that's pretty crazy, man. I'm so excited, like, because when like every time I play it, I'm finding so much cool stuff, and I'm just like one person going to a couple of planets. So being able to see like what everyone finds, like loads of people playing it, they're gonna find so much cool stuff that I haven't even seen yet, and just being able to like see other people's footage and pictures of all the cool stuff, like that, just thinking about that gets me hyped, like on its own.
Oh yeah, and I look forward to that, to sharing, what I've been working on with everyone. When I first release it, it will be a public test build. It might be unstable in some ways, but any reported issues I'm going to fix on the fly, on spot. It's an overhaul of the version 10, and for the most part, it's, as far as I've seen, it's a fluid experience. But working with procedural generation, there's probably going to be some unknown issues going on that I'll need to find, but it's not really a problem to me, because I just fix these things, like, as soon as I see them.
Yeah, for sure. And I think like hopefully most people get that. Obviously, like, this is it's not a small task, and it's like even when you do something, you can't test every single thing because it's like too big, right? And it just takes like one tiny little thing somewhere in some combination of stuff that can make things mess up. So I think most people get that, like, there's gonna be there might be some issues and stuff, but hopefully overall it's just gonna be freaking awesome. So yeah, I'm pretty psyched for that.
Yeah, I spent the past 3 months hunting for issues and fixing them. So it's getting really hard to find any issues at this point. So to me, that's a good sign. That's a good sign of stability and a fluid experience as well.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that some of the private play testers who have tested this build of the game, that they've also had a fluid experience, as I've heard from people.
Yeah, I remember like sometimes when you send me like the link for, like, a lot of people don't know, but you're sending me like updated versions like all the time, and I've been quite bad. Like sometimes I'll wait like a week or 2 weeks before I update to the next one just because I'm lazy or something. But like they just keep getting better all the time, and there's been like a couple of times where I'll be playing like your modded version of the game, and it will run, like, I'll get a better frames per second than I do when I'm just running the game unmodded, which is just crazy. So yeah, you definitely done some cool stuff, man.
I've heard that from a lot of different people, and like that's surprising to me. Some people have said that they've had better than vanilla performance. Yeah, I mean, like, just to give an example, like, I think some people, like back when I released the version 10 of the overhaul, it was not the ultimate vision that I had for the mod. And it was a beta, and I'm not sure if a lot of people understood that everything is a work in progress and that I know that there was issues, but I'm working hard to iron it out. Just to give an example of like how drastically different the immersion update to the overhaul is compared to version 10. Um, so my intention was for the immersion update to be an overhaul of the version 10 overhaul.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, yeah.
after I overhauled the version 10 overhaul, I overhauled the overhaul of the version 10 overhaul before overhauling the overhaul of that overhaul of the version 10 overhaul. And so like on like those links that I sent you, for example,
Yeah.
well, every single test revision that I upload to my Google Cloud Drive, it has probably hundreds of thousands of changes at minimum, for every
For
single
each one of
private.
them. That's
Yeah,
crazy, man. And like
for every
for you guys watching, like there's times when he'll like do an updated one like a couple of times a day, or like there'll be one like every other day, or like every day. The amount of like changes and work that he's doing on this is just it's insane, man. I don't know how you do it. You're not human, man. You're a Corvax.
And just one more thing about that real quick. Basically, so like how drastically different is the immersion update from the version 10? The version 10 was an overhaul of No Man's Sky with issues to it, of course, that should be ironed out in the immersion update. But like I said, every test revision that I upload to my private drive has hundreds of thousands of changes at minimum for the most part.
Yeah.
But I've had thousands of private revisions that I've uploaded. So this version is about a year ahead. So it's almost at the point where I'd have to say that it's pretty much a different mod with resemblance to the version 10. So this is closer to what I want it to be, but it's nowhere near where it's going to be as time goes by because I plan to continue working on it.
Like some of the stuff I'm seeing now, like that the recent planet I found, like I found that beautiful grassy planet with like all the diplos and the butterflies and the little creatures, and that for me was just like it just felt like by a long way like the closest thing I'd ever seen to like being in that actual E3 trailer. It was just so freaking cool. So like thinking about where it's gonna get to in the future is just crazy. So you talked about like wanting to work on it after next there, so that's quite interesting. So I know a lot of people have kind of mentioned this when they do the big updates, right? So you were working on this before Atlas Rises, obviously. Like, so you're definitely going to still be working on it, and you're still going to try and have a version of this that will work like for after next. Like how big of a change do you like see that being? Is that going to be something where you kind of have to like go back to square one, or is it like you're going to have to try and make changes to work with what they add? Like how big do you think that's going to be of a change?
Well, first, I'd like to mention that I've actually been forming ideas of what I was going. Well, not what I was going, but ideas of what I wanted to do with No Man's Sky since 2013, before the game released. As reworking games is something that I just do as a living. Before this, it was other games. Like since the game release, I'm working on it since like mid 2016. But when the next update comes, like I know a lot of people have wondered, like, aren't you concerned whether or not Next is going to break your mods and all this hard work that you're doing, this and this and that? Honestly, I'm not worried about it. Last time when Atlas Rises hit, like, I updated it in one sitting. It's not like it's hard to say. Like we don't really know what Next is going to bring, but one thing I do know is that we have an awesome modding community, and we're going to work on updating the tools and this and this and that, and I'm also going to update the mod in the areas that are needed. There's a chance that some things with Next might not even might make some of the things in the overhaul mod not necessary anymore.
Yeah,
But
yeah, right. If they improve stuff, yeah.
yeah, but the thing is like even with the most polished base game, there is always room for improvement, and there's always area to expand, in different places. So regardless of what Next brings, regardless of what awesomeness it brings, and props to Hello Games for also working so hard on the game that means so much to them and the community that means so much to them. that regardless of what awesomeness it brings, there's always going to be room for more awesome.
Yeah, yeah. See that's the other thing for me. Like when like you get people saying like, oh, I hope like the next update brings us like stuff that's like some of the stuff we see in the Overhaul mod, or I hope it's gonna be even better than this and stuff. And it's like that's really cool because even if like say like if they just came out of nowhere and every single like cool thing that you've done was in there, but like they'd done all of that and even done more stuff, but then it's like, but then that's the new base, right? So then you would just take that and you can just add new cool stuff on top of that anyway. So yeah, like I totally get what you're saying about like no matter how freaking awesome things end up, you can always just take that and then add even more cool stuff on top of it. So it's like just like an endless cycle of excitement and coolness.
Yeah, in the end, it always ends up for the better, regardless. You know, like
Yeah, for sure.
I look forward to working on a like an even more polished based game, and it every update opens the door for new cool things that us modders can do.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to see like what next brings as the update. Obviously has me like super excited, but then like thinking about even in the future, like with modding and like stuff that you're gonna do and stuff that other people are gonna do, and then it's like, and the other cool thing is like after next we know that we're gonna be getting more official updates after that as well. So it's like I can't you can't even imagine like how cool things are gonna end up for people that play No Man's Sky in the future. It's just yeah, I think that's why it's so cool being like a No Man's Sky fan for me. It's just like everything is
It's
just
really exciting.
yeah, it's so good.
This game has so much potential.
Yeah, it's like we all love it like so much now today. Like that's the best thing about. There's loads of people coming in now with like necks and stuff that are like, it's starting to look cool now and stuff like that. But then for people like us that have loved it the whole time, it's like it's always been freaking awesome, but it just keeps getting better and better and better and better. So that's yeah, I don't know. It just right now just feels like a really great time to be someone who loves No Man's Sky for sure. Like you've kind of touched on, obviously you're a huge fan of No Man's Sky, and like what you're doing isn't against that at all. It's like adding to it and doing different stuff. What is it about like No Man's Sky, just like the base game for you, that you love so much?
I love exploration within the game. Similar to Sean Murray, like when he mentioned that he always wanted a game where you could have a spaceship, where you could go here, where you could go there, where you can do all of these things or pretty much go anywhere untethered. Like I just love the fact that we have an in-game universe that is so vast that we can pretty much mold it the way that we want to mold it, or we can just explore and have our own journey, in that kind of aspect. I do love the other core aspects of the game, like fighting, trading, exploring, and just the story and the lore overall. But like I'd have to say that it's exploration in the fact that playing No Man's Sky is like walking in a painterly sci-fi novel.
Oh,
It's
it just captures that magic so well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like you feel like you're actually there. Like I want to go to these places.
I'm 100% the same. Like I think most people know by this point how I like to play it, but like just exploration is like the best thing for me. And I think there's no other game that I've played that comes anywhere close to that, like that one thing. Like there's other stuff that other games do better, but like that sense of like wonder and excitement and just like amazement at like every little thing you see and find. And I've got over 160 episodes on my channel alone, and I've obviously played the game loads more outside of that, but it's like even after like all that time I still haven't like lost that at all. Like every time I play, like it doesn't matter if I'm in a bad mood or if I've had like a hard day at work or like anything, as soon as I jump onto No Man's Sky, I'm just like super excited again, and like every planet I land on I'm hyped and I'm excited and I'm like just can't wait to see all the cool stuff. And then like I'm always finding this next like super beautiful thing, and it's like you're saying, it's like that infinite universe of exploration, right? So like no matter how cool any planet I found is, there's always a better planet out there, and I think that's for me is like why it just never loses that like amazement. Like because no matter how I could find like the best thing I've ever seen, I could find a planet that I've never seen, even on like all of the YouTube videos out there and other people's pictures, I could find something and be like, this is the best one that I've ever seen. And the first thing I'd think is still, man, if I found this, there's got to be something even better than this out there as well. And there always is. And that's like, yeah, no other game does that. No other game comes close to that for me. I remember when Sean was like, I remember that talk that you were actually saying when he was talking about all the different ways to play the game and how he hopes people will go and explore and just really appreciate all of that. And I remember he was saying like, you might be the kind of person that just never leaves that first planet, you know. He was like, you might just walk around and really like it and just spend loads of time there and never ever go anywhere else and just mine. And he was like, I don't know why you would, but some people might. And I was just like, man, that's pretty crazy, like, because yeah, there are so many other people that like enjoy different things about No Man's Sky, but that definitely is it for me. That exploration is just so good.
Yeah, and just going back to what you were saying about No Man's Sky, like, just No Man's Sky, like the game in itself, it's like it has its own style. Like I see other space games, and I'm not knocking any of those things. A lot of them are really cool, like Star Citizen, which is still a huge work in progress. But it's like when I play No Man's Sky, it's like, I don't know, like I just get these vibes, like these feelings, this experience that I don't get with really anything else. It's like Hello Games has put so much love into this. Like it's like they made concepts and they literally manifested it into the game as they saw it. And like, like the procedural music, like the style, like, walking in a painterly sci-fi novel, just like everything about it. It's just like, it's so different, than just in its own style, which I think, what makes No Man's Sky stand out. I think that's what stood out most about the trailers, is like just the style of the game. Like it's not like the typical space game that you would see around. Like it's its own thing made by a small studio.
Yeah, it's definitely like there's just nothing else like it. And I always get people that aren't, like, people obviously don't feel that or like aren't a fan of the game or whatever. They'll always say to me like, oh, go play Elite Dangerous, go play Star Citizen. And I'm like, I've got Elite Dangerous. Elite Dangerous is awesome, but like it's completely different to like No Man's Sky. Like the reasons I would play and enjoy Elite Dangerous and like the feelings I get from that, they're like not even similar kind of thing to what you get with No Man's Sky, and that's what loads of people just don't get. It's not like, oh no, but this game's a better game in space, but it's like, no, they're just totally different things. And that's like what you're saying there, like when it's the feeling you get when you play No Man's Sky is just so different from any other game. Like that's the thing for me, like I wish there were more games like No Man's Sky, or like people are like, oh, this could be done so much better, and I'm like if there was another game that was just like No Man's Sky and captured all of that feeling and was better, like I wouldn't complain about that, that'd be cool. But like there's just nothing else that does the same thing, and it's like, yeah, like I wish there were more games that captured that feeling, even if it was like a totally different setting or something. I wish there were just more games that grabbed me in the same way, but there's no other game that captures me like No Man's Sky does.
Yeah, I feel the same way about that.
We're just fanboying out. Right, okay. Let's get back to some of the other questions that I was going to ask you. So one of the other things I did want to ask is, you've told us about the mod, you've told us about like what your goal is for it and where you're coming from, and we've got an idea that it's going to be coming out in the next couple of days, which is super cool. Is there anything that you're working on that's maybe not going to be in this public release? Any like secret stuff that you're doing that you might be able to tease for people that are watching?
Okay, so I'll mention one thing. I'm officially the first modder to unpack the PlayStation 4 build of No Man's Sky, and I'm working on porting the Overhaul mod to the PlayStation 4 build. I know that a lot of people have wondered, can the PS4 handle it?
Could it run it?
Well, the first thing I'd like to point out, I've said this before, but if you look at the No Man's Sky PS4 gameplay trailer, the footage with RaYRoD, that dense rainforest, that was on the PlayStation 4, and that's far more densing and would be typically more taxing than the PC can handle. And what it all boils down to is the way that that biomes are set up, often GLSL shader related things that are going on in the background, like everything going on into the mix affects performance. And if given that somebody knows exactly what they're doing, sure, they can get it optimized running for PlayStation 4, or they can get it running better.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy, man. Oh, man, that's super exciting, because obviously they're like, at the moment, being able to mod No Man's Sky at all in any way on PS4 is just completely impossible. Like at the moment there's no way to go and play a modded version on PS4. So if you're able to do that, if you're able to like successfully get it working and running for the PS4 version, how would that work in terms of someone who's got a PS4 that wanted to play it? Would you have to would you have to like import some files onto the PS4 or something, or like how would that work?
Okay, so For the time being, since it's like a really early work in progress, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
It requires a browser-based exploit, to run the exploit, only to install the modified files, and then when you reboot your system, it's gone.
You could actually install it onto the PlayStation and play it on the PlayStation once it was
Yeah, with the
oh,
with
that's so
with the
cool.
web-based exploit, like you can install the files, and
Yeah,
when you reboot, the exploit is gone, but the files are still
still
there.
there.
And
Oh, that's cool. See, I wasn't sure, like, when you said you'd got the PS4 build and you're going to be able to work on it, I was like, that's freaking awesome, but I was kind of thinking, like, I didn't know if what you were going to do was, like, you'd mod the PS4 version, but you'd still have to play that version on, like, a PC or something. So the fact that you could potentially put that onto your console and I could sit there with my controller, like, at my TV on the PlayStation playing it is just crazy. But obviously that's, like, you're just getting started, but just thinking about that is super cool.
right, it's really, I think that it's really exciting because like I have the PS4 build fully unpacked, and I've already ported a lot of components from the PlayStation 4 into the PC overhaul mod. Well, now I want to do it the other way
The other
around. I
way.
want to
Oh,
port the
that's cool.
overhaul mod into the PS4.
And I think I remember you saying that there's some stuff in the PS4 files and the PS4 version that you've never seen before in the PC files, and you've spent a lot of time with the PC files, right? So there's definitely stuff in the PS4 files that just doesn't exist in the PC version.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of references on the PC version. There's a lot of PS4 references on the PC version that are not existent on the PC build.
Man, it's crazy for me, like, because whenever I hear about all of these features and files and things that are in the game's data now, but just not like implemented and active in the version when we play, like that has me so excited for like future updates, being able to bring all of that stuff to life like properly in the base game, and then also add new stuff on top of it. It's like we've got this awesome game now, but we're just like scratching the surface of where it could go.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I'm sure you've seen like that long list of a few things that I data mined. Like that's only 1% of the things that I found, and that's probably only 1% of what is to be found in the files. The thing is, like when I look back at the trailers, man, like I'm gonna be honest with you, like there are like there's like hundreds of thousands of things going on all at once. Like it really is a rabbit hole. Like I like many others, like I've seen the trailers hundreds of times, but I swear every time I go back to watch it, I see something like that I never saw before.
Yeah, some other tiny little thing that's just like, oh damn, that's cool as hell.
Like at 2 seconds you might see one thing, then at 3 seconds you'll see another thing, but then you'll go back to 2 seconds and you'll see something else. Then you'll watch the full video, but then you'll come back 2 days later and you might see 10 things and you never noticed before. A lot of people think, well, maybe the stuff just isn't functional, maybe it doesn't work. Everything that I've looked for, has been finished, has been fully functional, except maybe a few buildings that lack collision. But I've been calculating various object geometrics and adding collision verts to them and making them functionable, implementing them into the game creatively on a universal scale in non-saturated ways where it's believable, and these things feel like they have presence and they will feel like that they belong on the immersion update. So all objects should now have collision, as that was a major issue on the version 10, that you could just walk through some objects, even because I wasn't finished working on that, even though I had already finished a lot of assets, but now I finished them all. Like even in old articles, like I found the data relating to Hello Game Super Formula, and I'm
Oh
working
yeah,
on
yeah,
that too.
yeah. I'm definitely excited to see what you can do with that. I remember you telling me about that. That's pretty cool. I think like you touched on something there that's like I don't think I ever really talked about this in a video, but like obviously everyone has their thing. Like when they watch the E3 trailers, everyone's like, "Oh, this looks better," or "This thing looks better," or "Where's that big Diplo?" or like, "Why isn't there a sandworm?" But I think like for me, like that's kind of the thing. Like when I watch those E3 trailers, like the thing for me that is so incredible about all of them is like on every single one of them, it's not like any one cool thing that I see that I'm like, I want that feature, or I want that creature, or I want this tree or something. It's like there's just so much stuff going on at once that is completely overwhelming. And I think that's what made watching those trailers without even like realizing it so freaking special, because like it's like when I was on that planet the other day that I found in the immersion update that I'm playing, where there was like I mentioned like the butterflies and the creatures and the diplos and the grass and like everything. There's loads of stuff going on like all at once. And it's like when there's so many of those little tiny things, like most of them you don't even like probably notice, but when you see there's so much cool stuff happening all at one time, that's when you're just like, damn, like that looks so freaking cool. And it's like there's just so much of that stuff that like that's not ready yet or we haven't seen just yet, and that's crazy exciting for me. And I think like, so my personal prediction, I think I've said this a couple of times now, is like for next, I really think, as well as the multiplayer stuff, I think a big part of that is going to be like an overhaul style thing. Like I think they're going to be adding in a whole load of those features that they haven't been able to implement yet. I think we're going to start to see quite a bit of that with the next update, and I'm hoping we do. But yeah, like just thinking about all the stuff that's there, and like all the stuff that they might have added or be thinking about since then as well. Like it's just crazy. Like there's no limit to like what it could become.
And like, you know what I think like also made a huge impact of a difference on Atlas Rises when it was released? It was that, you know, like they didn't just target, you know, like huge details. They also worked on a lot of minor details, because every detail matters. Like, sure, one thing might be a small difference, but when you keep adding up a ton of small differences, it becomes a very noticeable thing. And of course, like the big and flashy things in your face, like, you know, like the new ships and this and this and that, like that's cool and that's exciting, you know, to be able to see these things and have fun with it. But there are just so many areas that also have potential, you know, that maybe, you know, that may seem like small areas, but when you begin to just polish up, you know, all of these different aspects of the game, it ends up making an overhaul of a difference. And like, you know, like what you said about the trailers, like all of these things going on at once, there really is. And you know, you know, people like they may think that they've seen it all because they've seen it, but you know, when you begin to understand what exactly was going on behind the scenes and what Hello Games had really going on, and like, you know, like references to the stuff in the files and the data and how those things function, and like, you know, it's like you begin, it's like a new door opens where you begin to see things that you didn't see before. And it's also a great learning experience in regard to how much potential this game has, and like, you know, what can already be done with the files. And like you said about Next, I do think that, you know, that there's a possibility that Next is going to be like, hopefully, I mean, like I think it might be on the scale of a reboot, you know, that's just my speculation, but
the timing's
I look
right,
forward
right?
to it.
And like with the Xbox launch, it kind of is like that. This is probably the only chance they'll get at a time like this where it's gonna feel like that brand new launch of the game again. So like if they're and like everybody must know, like without officially knowing anything, like we all know that they're trying to deliver that vision that they had with like all of those cool things, and probably loads of more cool things that they thought of since. Like we know that they're trying to do that, like without them telling us. Like it's pretty obvious that that has to be the goal for them, right? That's what they want to do. So yeah, I'm really really hopeful and excited for like what we might get in Next.
I think that the phrase "next" is a straight giveaway of that.
Yeah, that's it. This is that definitely, like, as soon as I heard Next, I was like, this is an overhaul. This is like a complete relaunch without being like an actual relaunch. And then obviously later on we found out that they are also actually doing an actual relaunch on Xbox and Wii game and stuff. So yeah, oh man, that's definitely my secret hope, like my prediction for what we're gonna see, as well as all the multiplayer stuff that's gonna be awesome, is that like complete overhaul.
Oh yeah, definitely. And you know, Sean said himself on that Xbox interview stream, he said, you know, that they took the time to do what they wanted to do with the game.
Yeah. And we know, like, as a minimum, even if it's not all of that, like they've said Next is the biggest update yet. And like Atlas Rises was huge, man. Like I remember when that came out, everyone was like, holy hell spells, like there's so much stuff in here, like that we were just not expecting. Like we were all speculating like crazy, all of these theories, and then like when it actually dropped, everyone was like, whoa, it's even more than all of that. So yeah, like for this to be even bigger than that is
exciting.
it's gotta be freaking awesome, whatever it is. And the good thing is, like, we love the game now, so even if this wasn't like a massive update, any little thing they add would just be like an extra bonus. So the fact that this is gonna be massive is just, yeah, like I don't even know how to explain how excited I am about it, but yeah, July the 24th is gonna be a great freaking day for sure.
Absolutely, man. It's only going to get better from here on out.
All right, I think we've like covered quite a lot of the stuff that I wanted to sort of ask and talk about, and it's been pretty fun. So when the mod does drop, is that gonna be up on like Nexus Mods, or like will you have a link to it somewhere else? Obviously, I'll put the link in this video as soon as it does drop, so people can come back here and find it as well. But like, where's it gonna be when people want to grab it?
Initially, I may post the link on Twitter.
Oh, that would be so cool.
I have not,
that tweet is just gonna go insane.
I have not decided if I'm going to upload it to Nexus Mods right away. I probably will, since I disabled the page, temporarily until it's updated. So I'm probably going to upload it to Nexus Mods as well.
Yeah.
If so, I'll just link you so you can put it in the description.
Yeah, and I'll definitely do another video, like when it comes out. I'll do another video just in case anyone doesn't see it anywhere else, just so they know for sure.
Yeah, but definitely on Twitter though.
Yeah, and just before we do go as well, so speaking of Twitter, stuff like that, where can everybody find you if they're not already following you on the internet?
If not on Twitter or YouTube?
Yeah, so I'll put links to all of that stuff in the description, guys, so if by some weird happenstance you aren't already following Ray all over the place, make sure you go and do that. Thank him for the amazing work that he's doing, and yeah, just let him know that you're excited, because it's going to be a lot of fun when we get our hands on it. Alright, I think that's probably going to do it then, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed that one. Ray, thank you so much for joining me on this interview. I really appreciate that. I know you're like a mad scientist, like desperate trying to get back to your work, so I definitely appreciate you taking the time to come and talk to everyone here. But I'm hoping people are going to be really happy to like hear you talk, and are going to be excited about it.
And thanks for inviting me and taking the time to speak about this with me. I appreciate it.
My pleasure, man. Thanks a lot. Take care, guys, and peace. Sky right now is just having a great time. So much cool stuff going on.
I'm sorry, man.
About the mod and about No Man's Sky. So before we do that, I guess I should say hi, Ray. How's it going? And thanks for joining me on the interview.
Hey, man, and I appreciate that you're having me here. So, bro, I swear I'm not gonna mess this up next time. Yeah. Quick question, bro.
Yeah.
Like, was I supposed to say something there?
Right. Stop laughing. Okay, right. I'm gonna go again.
Alright.
Okay, I'm ready to stop laughing now.
And to push No Man's Sky to its limits in its current state, to fill in every gap. Bro, I'm really sorry. My screen just flickered. Hey, thanks for having me here. I appreciate it. And I'm doing well on my end. How about you?
Yeah, doing
Wait,
really
did you even ask me that?
No. Oh, dude, this is so good. Okay. Okay, should we try again? I just want to give a huge thank you and shout out to my current Patreon supporters: Shiraka Majeli, YO, Madeline J, UK Gamer 84, Todd Cook, Neil B, Anarchy, Vanilla, Rasmus K, Mingrui, Dale from the Atlas Hub, Joanne Anderson, Heath, and the Portrait Dude. You guys are the best.